My wealthy husband thought I could never leave him, but while he went crazy searching for his mistress, I quietly tore. If that first line hit you, like it right now. And tell me in the comments, what would you have done in my place? Don't forget to subscribe for more stories of healing, revenge, and freedom. Late at night, the lights in our sprawling mansion were dim, as if trying to conceal its cold, hidden corners. Tyler Quinn, my husband, pushed open the door and paused when he saw me sitting quietly at the dining table, a flicker of surprise crossing his face before it shifted into irritation. "It's late. Why aren't you in bed?" His voice was deep but laced with impatience. "Go on then. What kind of drama are you trying to stir up this time?" I didn't answer, just looked at him. Tyler's eyes were sharp, as if bracing for yet another argument. Ever since his sugar baby disappeared, the entire city seemed to spin in chaos around him. 2 days and 2 nights, drones lit up the sky with her image, a flashy, desperate display of love. Meanwhile, I, the legal wife, became a punchline among the elite. The whispers behind my back, the pitying stares, they all cut like knives into my pride. But tonight, I didn't let emotion take over. I didn't ask why he could publicly flaunt his affection for that girl without a second thought for me. I didn't ask why I had become invisible in my own home. I just looked at the deep red lipstick stain on the collar of his white shirt and quietly said, "I got you something." Tyler froze. His eyes flicked to the dinner table, where the food I had carefully prepared had long gone cold. A flicker of unease crossed his chiseled face, as if he had suddenly remembered something. "I'm sorry," he said, his tone softening slightly. "I forgot. Today's our 4th anniversary." He stepped closer, an unusual gesture, like he was trying to smooth things over. "I'll make it up to you with another gift." I didn't look at him. The unfamiliar perfume clinging to him was sweet and expensive, nothing like the subtle scent I usually wore. Instinctively, I turned my face away. The moment of calm between his brows tightened again, and his voice snapped, "I knew it. You still want to make this a thing, don't you?" "I'm taking a shower." He turned and walked briskly upstairs, his tall figure disappearing into the dark hallway. I stayed there, my eyes settling on the small gift box on the table, wrapped neatly in shiny silver paper and tied with a red ribbon. Looking at the unopened box, all I felt was a deep, aching sadness. I stood up and slowly made my way upstairs. Tyler's phone sat on the nightstand, the screen lighting up in pulses. We had only been apart for less than an hour, and yet that girl had already sent a string of messages. I didn't mean to look, but the glow from the screen pulled my eyes in. "I already miss you." "Tell me, what should I do?" My heart, which I thought had gone numb from too many wounds, suddenly ached again. The pain spread through my body, from my chest down to my fingertips. I stood there, fists clenched, struggling to breathe evenly. That's when I felt his eyes. Cold, sharp. I looked up and saw Tyler standing at the bathroom doorway, hair still wet, a towel loosely wrapped around his waist. He stared at me, then gave a crooked, mocking smile. "Had a good look." His voice was ice. "Don't tell me Mrs. Quinn still isn't used to this by now." The next morning, sunlight filtered through the curtains, casting soft light on the dining table where the gift still sat untouched, as if frozen in time. Tyler had left early. The sound of his car engine echoed from the garage and then faded away, leaving a heavy silence to settle over the vast mansion. I sat down, my hand reaching for the red ribbon wrapped around the gift box, my fingers tightening slightly, hesitating. Finally, I untied it. Truth is, up until last night, I still hadn't decided what to give him. This document, or the ultrasound photo with the checkup slip, proof that a new life was growing inside me. I'd gone back and forth between those two choices all week, hoping some kind of miracle would change everything. But as I waited in vain last night, sitting by the window, the cold night air brushing against my face while I watched the dazzling drone show painting her image across the sky, I suddenly saw things clearly. The man I once loved so deeply had changed. He was no longer the warm-hearted guy from before, but a stranger, cold, distant, the kind of man who trampled on love without blinking. 7 years ago, on a snowy Christmas night in New York, I was in grad school, sick with the flu, and had gone out to buy medicine. I fainted in my car parked by the curb. When I woke up, I was in a hospital bed, and beside me was Tyler Quinn, a tall, handsome man with a warm smile, handing me a glass of water. "Are you okay?" His voice was gentle, his eyes full of concern, and my heart fluttered from that very moment. My best friend had warned me, "Everyone in our circle knows Tyler Quinn. He's rich, he's hot, his family's elite. Guys like him, fine to mess around with, but don't ever fall for real." But I'd already fallen, too deep to turn back. I saw a side of Tyler others didn't. He was distant and aloof in public, but with me, he was passionate and tender. He, the center of every room, would get childishly jealous if another guy so much as spoke to me, gripping my hand and whispering, "You're only allowed to smile at me." In the middle of thick snowfall, he would warm my frozen hands with his and tuck them into the oversized pockets of his coat. Those moments made me believe our love was real, strong enough to silence every warning. We married after 2 years of dating, in a lavish wedding people in our social circle still talk about. But my friend's words, it turned out, were true. After we got married, Tyler began to change, especially after he found out that the stepmother he'd hated for years, the woman who broke up his family and hurt his biological mother, was actually an old friend of my mom's. His gaze, once full of warmth and sincerity, grew distant, first tinged with doubt, then cold, and eventually completely devoid of affection. He started pulling away from my hugs, and his tone became flat, indifferent. I never knew if he truly cared about that connection, or if he simply didn't love me anymore. He began openly going out with actresses, laughing with them in public, letting paparazzi snap photos of him for tabloid headlines. He even kept a sugar baby. As for me, I went from desperately explaining, begging, to breaking apart when I saw him hold another woman, to finally going numb and accepting it. Suddenly, the wave of memories was interrupted. Tyler's assistant entered, a young woman with a polished smile, carrying an elegant jewelry box. "Mrs. Quinn, this is the anniversary gift Mr. Tyler asked me to prepare." She placed the box on the table, her voice soft, but her eyes couldn't quite hide the flicker of pity. I opened it. Inside was a diamond ring, sparkling brightly. But it wasn't my size. Another last-minute gift, probably picked by the assistant, not by him. I snapped back to reality, no longer overthinking. The sorrow had turned into cold resolve. I grabbed the folder, stood up, and walked out. I drove straight to the skyscraper in the heart of the city, where Tyler Quinn ran his business empire. As I stepped into the grand lobby, the sound of my heels echoed across the polished marble floor. I passed security with a familiar smile. After all, I was Mrs. Quinn, the boss's wife. The elevator carried me to the top floor, where his office was. I pushed the door open without knocking, and the scene that hit my eyes made my heart tighten. Two bodies tangled on the sleek black leather sofa, their heavy breathing still thick in the air. They sprang apart like they'd been shocked. Tyler Quinn stood up, shirt rumpled, breathing uneven, his expression darkened with a mix of irritation and anger. "What are you doing here?" His voice was low, but the annoyance wasn't masked, like I was some intruder with no right to be there. Then he turned to the sugar baby, Lily Carter, the young girl with tousled hair and smudged lipstick, and comforted her in a voice so gentle it made my stomach turn. "Lily, why don't you go make us some coffee? I'll handle this." She nodded quickly, her face flushed with shame and fear, hurriedly tugging her dress down. The door shut behind her. Silence fell, thick and suffocating, broken only by the ticking clock and the cloying, unfamiliar perfume still hanging in the air. Tyler stood there, arms crossed, clearly waiting for me to speak first, his gaze appraising me like a business rival, not his wife. I didn't say a word. I calmly pulled a folder from my handbag and held it out to him. "The gift you didn't open yesterday." He raised an eyebrow, a flicker of surprise flashing across his angular face, eyes narrowing like he was trying to read my mind. "You're not going to ask?" he said, voice lowering, tinged with curiosity and suspicion. He stared at me in silence, scanning me from head to toe, as if trying to make sense of this calm version of me, not crying, not jealous like before. A few seconds passed. Then he said, half explaining, half dismissing, in a casual tone like talking about the weather, "She's been clinging to me a lot lately, so I let her be my secretary for fun." Don't overthink it. If this had been before, I wouldn't have lasted another second. I would have exploded. But this time, I showed no reaction, just motion toward the folder again, my eyes cold as ice. Tyler's gaze flickered. He studied me for a few more seconds, as if searching for that familiar jealousy. Then, slowly, he took the folder, fingers brushing over the glossy paper, opening it carefully. Seconds later, he looked up at me in disbelief, mouth opening and closing. His expression shifted, shock, confusion, and then slowly, an unexpected burst of joy. He whispered, "You're pregnant?" I froze, heart pounding as I looked down at the paper in his hands. It was the prenatal checkup slip, with a grainy ultrasound image of a tiny life. I must have accidentally grabbed the wrong one in my rush, mixed up two thin sheets that held two very different fates. I was just about to explain when, crash! A loud clatter exploded at the door. A cup shattered on the floor, hot coffee splashing everywhere. Lily Carter had stumbled, face pale, eyes burning with rage and jealousy. Then she bolted, panicked, down the hallway. Tyler frowned, muttered heavily to me, "Wait here," and quickly ran after her. But I wasn't going to wait anymore. Since the day he changed, I'd waited long enough. I waited as stories of his flings spread across the tabloids, waited through taunting midnight texts from those women, waited through reporters swarming around us, waited through concerned calls from family and friends, soaked in pity, waited through mockery on social media. I waited for the one thing that never came, real change in his heart, a sincere apology, a warm hug, a loving look like before. I was done waiting, tired of waiting. I wiped away the hot, bitter tear from my cheek and turned, walking out of the room. I drove straight to the nearest hospital, but what I didn't expect was to run into them there, Tyler Quinn and Lily Carter, standing in the emergency ward hallway. Lily's hand was wrapped several times in white gauze, and Tyler was holding her protectively in his arms, one hand around her shoulders, whispering something softly into her ear in that gentle tone I used to crave. Tyler stopped abruptly when he saw me, narrowing his eyes as he scanned me from head to toe with suspicion. "What are you doing here? Didn't I tell you to wait for me?" His voice was low, but quickly turned cold, carrying a sharp edge of accusation. "Or were you following me?" I let out a crooked smile, one that couldn't hide the pain beneath. I wanted to tell him the truth, that I hadn't followed them, that I had come here to end the small life growing inside me, the one he didn't deserve to be a father to. But thinking about how he might try to stop me, how he could use his power to keep me trapped in this hell, I swallowed it all back. My silence was taken by Tyler as confirmation. His eyes flashed with that familiar mocking look, and his mouth began to open, ready to throw another cruel remark at me, like all the times he crushed me in our arguments. But before he could, Lily gently tugged at his arm, tilting her head and cooing in a sweet, syrupy voice that made me sick. "Babe, don't argue, okay? Can you go get my medicine first? Please?" Tyler looked at her, and his expression softened instantly. He nodded and turned to leave. The moment he was gone, Lily turned to me. Her eyes sparkled under thick layers of mascara, but her lips curled into a triumphant smirk. "Mrs. Miller, I'm sorry. I just wanted to ask. The ring I picked out. Did you like it?" Then she lifted her wrist slightly, showing off a diamond bracelet that glimmered under the hospital lights, swinging gently like it was taunting me. "Look, I've got one too. It's expensive. 200 grand, my heart ached. I had thought that ring was something his assistant had picked up in a rush, a thoughtless gift he barely remembered. But now I realized he had allowed her to humiliate me, allowed her to step right into our lives. I forced myself to stay calm, took a deep breath, and looked her straight in the eyes. "Miss Carter, do you know what the difference between us is?" I paused, voice steady but sharp. "What he gives me belongs to marital property, but every single thing he gives you, I have the legal right to take back." The smile froze on Lily Carter's face. Her pretty features twisted in anger, and the next second, she turned sharply and stomped away, her heels clicking furiously down the hospital floor. The truth is, I had already had someone look into Lily Carter's background. On the surface, she was just a regular college student, always seen traveling with her best friend Nina Hartley, chasing handsome men, posting bright, carefree photos on social media. But in reality, her ambition was enormous, like a predator hiding beneath a facade of innocence. In her senior year, Nina worked part-time at an exclusive club where she seduced Tyler's married friend, Sean Harper. Through Sean, Nina introduced Lily to Tyler at a party, calling her an interesting friend. At first, Lily had pretended to be indifferent, shrugging and telling Nina, "I'm not interested in him. I only agreed to be his sugar baby so we could hang out, drink, and travel together." However, when she realized there were countless women around Tyler, and that she wasn't special among them, not an actress, not a model, just another ordinary girl, Lily grew restless and began scheming. Together with Nina Hartley, she staged a dramatic breakup and disappearance. A loud argument in front of Tyler, followed by vanishing from the city, leaving behind desperate, love-stricken messages to him. It worked. She caught his attention completely, driving him mad, trying to find her. I stood there in the hospital, watching Lily's figure disappear at the end of the hallway, then turned and walked into the examination room, clutching the medical form tightly in my hand. There was no hesitation left in me. I would not bring a child into a world built on lies and without love. At that time, Tyler was busy taking his sugar baby on a world tour, smiling together in photos on the white snow of the Alps, sailing across turquoise seas on a luxury yacht, or floating in a hot air balloon against a glowing sunset sky. While they were busy enjoying their romantic moments, I had already packed up my things. My lawyer, speaking in a calm, professional tone over the phone, confirmed that the divorce papers had been sent to his company. 2 weeks later, my phone buzzed. Tyler was calling, but he didn't mention the divorce at all. His voice was casual, confident as ever. "I just landed. I'm coming to pick you up for Sean Harper and Nina Hartley's engagement party, okay? You'll like it." So, he'd just gotten off the plane from his trip, hadn't even gone home or to the office yet, still acting as if nothing had happened. I agreed, not because I wanted to see him, but because that party might be my chance to talk to Mrs. Eleanor Quinn, his mother, who had just returned to the country. As I stepped out of the mall carrying a simple handbag, Tyler's sleek black Maybach was already waiting by the curb. And of course, in the passenger seat sat Lily. She turned around with a fake smile, her voice sweet but laced with mockery. "Sorry, Mrs. Miller, I'm sitting here." "Hope you don't mind." Tyler took off his sunglasses, his dark pupils glinting coldly as he turned to me. "Hannah, sit in the back." But before he could finish, I had already gotten into the back seat, fastening my seatbelt calmly. Tyler was momentarily speechless. His mouth opened, then closed, before starting the engine with a growl. As the car began to move, he spoke softly to Lily, his voice tender. "I've already prepared your gown. You'll be the most beautiful one tonight." But his eyes kept flicking to the rearview mirror, watching me, measuring. A moment later, Lily squealed with delight. "You're the best, babe. I love you." Followed by the sound of a soft kiss, and her sickly, sweet perfume filled the car. I didn't react. I sat silently, like a stranger, gazing out the window at the blurred city passing by. I thought by now Tyler Quinn would be satisfied with how quiet I'd become, but instead, he grew angry for no reason. His cold voice cut through the mirror. "Hannah, what's wrong with you? Haven't seen me for a few days and now you've gone mute?" I looked at him, confused. "What? Didn't you tell me to get used to it? And now you can't? Or do you just miss having someone beside you clapping for your affairs?" He fell silent, his face twisting with anger, and the only thing he could do was stomp on the gas. The car roared down the highway, tires screeching in rage. At the lavish engagement party, I moved alone through the crowd, meeting every pitying glance without flinching. Tyler brushed off his lively little mistress and came over to me, face stiff, voice hissing in a harsh whisper. "You should come with me. Do your duty as Mrs. Quinn in front of everyone." I finished my champagne in one gulp, the bitterness spreading across my tongue, and ignored him. In truth, if it weren't for the hope of seeing Mrs. Eleanor Quinn to talk about the divorce, I wouldn't have come at all. "Hannah, what the hell are you trying to pull?" Tyler gritted his teeth, his expression darkening like a storm. He suddenly grabbed my wrist tightly. "You've lost so much weight in just a few days." "I had baby supplies sent to the house. Did you get them?" I pulled my hand away coldly, leaving him standing there stunned. After a few more glasses of champagne, the sharp burn made my head light. I found a quiet corner to rest, sinking into a soft sofa and taking a deep breath, only to overhear Lily Carter and Nina Hartley chatting on another couch nearby. "Hartley, now that you're officially Mrs. Harper, I'm really happy for you," Lily said. "I'm happy for you, too. Who doesn't know by now that you're Mr. Quinn's favorite girl?" Nina replied, then whispered, "Keep it up, okay? We're about to change our lives completely." "Yeah, almost," Lily said, smiling as she rubbed her stomach gently, her eyes gleaming with naked ambition. "That woman's about to lose." Just as they were laughing smugly, Lily noticed me. Shock flickered in her eyes, and her face went stiff. She hid her panic, stood up, and walked toward me, chin lifted high. "You heard everything, didn't you?" "Honestly, I never wanted to ruin your marriage. But what can I do? Mr. Quinn seems to really like me." Then, her gaze sharpened with challenge. "Maybe you should step aside?" I smiled faintly and asked softly, "I already did." "Can you replace me?" The mocking calm in my voice made her flush with rage. Then her eyes lit up with something dark, and before I could react, she suddenly changed expression. Her face twisted as if in pain, and she threw herself straight into the champagne tower beside her. Instantly, the magnificent pyramid of glasses crashed to the floor, glass shattering, champagne splashing everywhere. Behind me came a furious shout of shock. "Hannah! What did you do to her?" I turned around to see Tyler Quinn and a crowd of guests standing frozen, mouths open. Nina Hartley rushed to the floor, holding the groaning Lily Carter, crying out dramatically, "Oh my God! How could this happen? Our Carter is pregnant!" Tyler snapped out of it, face turning pale as he knelt beside Lily, his trembling hand touching her arm. When he finally looked up, fury burned in his eyes, barely contained. "Hannah, explain this, now!" Lily's eyes welled with tears as she spoke first, voice weak. "Don't be mad, it's because of this photo." She opened her palm and showed a crumpled photograph to Tyler. His eyes flashed. His expression darkened completely. Then he threw the photo at me. It hit my face and fluttered to the floor. It was a blurry picture of me and a strange man. His jaw tightened, veins pulsing. "Hannah, who is this man?" For a moment I froze, staring at the photo, then at Tyler's furious face, at Lily's triumphant smirk, at the crowd enjoying the spectacle. I let out a cold laugh. "Who it is doesn't matter. And her fall? It has nothing to do with me. If you're that worried about her, why don't you do what your friend did?" Tyler's veins bulged as he grabbed my shoulders, his grip crushingly strong. "You're insane! Do you even know what you're saying?" I brushed his hands away, my heart utterly hollow, clean, empty, detached. "Then divorce." He froze, eyes wide. "What? Did you say?" I said. I looked him straight in the eye, voice steady, cutting through the air. "Tyler Quinn, I want a divorce." Since that day, the collapse of my marriage with Tyler Quinn had become public knowledge. Not only friends and family sent all kinds of concerned messages, but from those messages, I could tell they all thought we'd eventually get back together. But only I knew the truth. This marriage was completely over. I flew to a faraway place on the other side of the world. By a lake beneath quiet snow-capped mountains, I spent half a month letting go of everything. I cleared out some memories, some burdens, some lingering emotions. During that time, Tyler Quinn called me 3 times. The first call, he was furious, demanding to know why I packed up and left, telling me not to regret it. The third call was to ask when my prenatal checkup was. He'd come with me. His tone had shifted from angry to soft, but never once did he mention divorce. As if it had never happened, as if it was just one of my impulses. And now, I'd just received the 4th call from him. "Hannah, where's that dress shirt you gave me last year? I've looked everywhere and can't find it." I took a deep breath. The cold air in the room stung my lungs. "Tyler Quinn, listen carefully. From today on, where your shirts are, where your ties are, where you are, or who you love, none of that has anything to do with me. I haven't blocked your number yet because we still have divorce paperwork to finish. There was a pause on the other end, silence stretching out like an abyss. Then his voice came through, slightly irritated, like scolding a misbehaving child. "Hannah, it's been days now. Haven't you had enough? You're not 3 years old anymore. Don't you realize how deep our ties run? The business between our two families, the stock shares, and now there's a baby, too. If you're going to throw a tantrum, there has to be a limit. Don't go too far." So it turns out, he never doubted my love for him. It was because he was too sure of it. That's why he'd always had no fear in wrecking everything, cheating openly without a care. After a long silence, I replied, "Tyler, you know what? If you keep clinging like this, all you're doing is turning yourself into the same joke I once was." And with that, I hung up. After returning from the trip, I didn't rest. I went straight to meet my lawyer. While waiting at the restaurant, Lily Carter suddenly showed up, like she'd had someone tracking me the whole time. She slammed her designer purse on the table with a loud thud, her voice arrogant. "Mrs. Miller, so you've finally stopped hiding? Do what you said you would and sign the damn divorce papers. Stop clinging to Tyler." I stared at her, noticing her heavily made-up face now looked a bit worn, dark circles showing under the foundation. Even though I no longer followed her news, I had heard that last week, while Tyler was trying to calm the board during a tense meeting, she barged in and made a scene. Maybe Tyler hadn't gone to comfort her yet, or maybe she hadn't heard anything about the divorce being finalized and was panicking. "Miss Carter, I'm not hiding. And I'm not busy clinging to Tyler, because I've been too busy handling you." She froze, her face immediately guarded. "What do you mean? What did you do?" Her voice pitched high, trembling. "Plenty." "Which one are you referring to?" I said calmly, seeing the shock flash across her face. I tapped the table lightly and explained slowly. 10 minutes ago, I made your secret social media account public. Your messages, the schemes between you and your friend. By now, I'd guess the whole world knows about your little plans. Oh, and didn't I hear the Harper family was already unhappy with her over that last incident? Lily went pale, stunned, furious, and panicked, her voice shrill. "You're insane! I'll sue you for invasion of privacy." "Perfect," I said evenly. "I'm preparing a lawsuit myself, demanding you return every dollar my legal husband gave you, including that very expensive bracelet on your wrist. You—" Lily Carter went ghost white, trying to control her heaving chest, her voice trembling. "Tyler won't believe you." "Since you brought him up," I said, "I've been meaning to ask about the fake pregnancy test you posted online. Should I be the one to tell him?" Her whole body began to shake, eyes filled with panic and hate, staring at me like she'd seen a ghost. I gave her a cold smile, glanced over her shoulder, and whispered, "Or, why don't you tell him yourself?" Lily spun around. Standing right there was Tyler. She immediately switched to a sorrowful expression, like a seasoned stage actress, throwing herself at Tyler with a trembling voice. "Honey, she's lying. I didn't do anything." But the very next second, Tyler shoved her away without a hint of mercy. His face darkened, eyes flashing with fury. "Lily, you lied to me. The one thing I hate the most is someone else's damn scheming." His voice roared through the room, making Lily panic, trying to cling to his arm as she stammered, "It's not what you think." But the disgust etched deep between his furrowed brows made her freeze in place. I'd lost all interest in watching the rest of their performance and turned to leave. Tyler rushed after me and grabbed my wrist. "Where do you think you're going now?" I coldly shook him off, but he persisted, growling. "People say things they don't mean when they're angry. Let's just go home." Just then, A tall, composed figure stepped forward and positioned himself between us, shielding me like a solid wall. Tyler froze, his eyes suddenly sharp, as if trying to pierce through the man in front of him. "It's you? The guy from the photo?" The man extended his hand, his tone calm and polite, his presence strong and steady. "Good evening, Mr. Quinn. I'm Derek Smith, Ms. Miller's legal representative." Free from Tyler's grip, I got into Derek's car. But within 5 minutes, our vehicle was blocked on the road by a glossy black Maybach. Tyler stormed out, his usual composure gone, furiously pounding on the passenger window. "Hannah! Get out and talk to me!" His hair was a mess, shirt half untucked, eyes bloodshot like a man unhinged. I quickly reached for Derek's arm and shook my head to signal him to stay calm, then opened the door and stepped out. Tyler's calm demeanor was nowhere to be seen. His eyes burned with frustration as he pointed at me. "And him?" "You're not going to explain?" I replied coldly, my voice emotionless. "I don't owe you any explanation." He grew more agitated, closing the distance between us, shouting, "No explanation! I'm your husband. I'm the father of the child you're carrying." My heart, which had finally found peace, was ripped open again by those two words, the child, like a knife twisting into an old wound. I couldn't hold it in anymore. I raised my hand and slapped him hard across the face. Tyler's hand instinctively touched his cheek, eyes wide and bloodshot, fists clenched. But surprisingly, the next second, he closed his eyes and took a deep breath, as if trying to restrain the rage boiling inside. When he opened them again, his tone had softened, almost pleading. "You're pregnant. You can't be this emotional. I was just upset. You can yell at me all you want." Then he bowed his once proud head, his voice low and tentative. "Fine. Everything before this. I'm sorry. I promise there won't be any more women bothering you. Just come back with me. We'll raise the baby together." Hearing the way he half pleaded, half expected me to accept as if it were a favor, I couldn't help but laugh out loud. Then I stared at him, eyes almost ruthless, and said every word clearly. "Tyler, there is no baby anymore." He took a step back, staring at me in disbelief. It was as if, finally, it hit him. I wasn't bluffing. This wasn't a threat or a joke. I turned away and walked back to Derek's car. The sound of the car door shutting felt like the closing of an entire chapter. Through the rearview mirror, I saw Tyler still standing there, motionless, his tall figure now small and lost among the passing traffic. Since that fateful day, I threw myself into a new life with a relentless pace, as if stopping for even a second would allow the old pain to catch up with me. During the day, I immersed myself in work at the family company. I followed my father, learning bit by bit about management, from reading financial reports to negotiating contracts, and I saw the pride in his eyes whenever I carefully took notes in my notebook. At night, I sat in my small apartment, reviewing old lessons. Fortunately, after learning about my decision to divorce, my parents stood by me. My mother held my hand and looked at me gently. "You did the right thing, Hannah. I just want you to be happy." But I'll admit, sometimes, in a brief moment of distraction, negative emotions would slip back in, like ghosts trying to drag me into the pain I left behind. I didn't allow myself to sink. I ran every morning, went to the gym, learned an instrument. I didn't let myself rest for even a moment. And slowly, I began to heal. Then, unexpectedly, Tyler returned. One evening, as I stepped out of the office, the city sky lit up with dazzling drones, hundreds of them spelling out the words, "Hannah, I'm sorry," shimmering against the night. The next day, the biggest billboard in the CBD lit up with an old photo of me from my university days. Tyler sent a series of extravagant gifts to my home, luxury items meant to make up for missed wedding anniversaries, birthdays, and Valentine's days. If it had been before, my heart surely would have been moved. But now, looking at the pile of gifts stacking up in the corner of my room, all I felt was impatience and a quiet disgust. Turns out, when you've truly let someone go, everything they do, no matter how grand, just feels like noise. Derek, my lawyer, told me that Tyler Quinn had already taken the first step in suing Lily Carter. Apparently, sometime after her alternate social media account was exposed, Nina had her engagement to Sean Harper immediately called off, and Lily was kicked out of her apartment. Tyler sued her for fraud and a number of other charges, and she was now entangled in endless legal troubles. I sat in silence for a moment, fingers tapping lightly on the wooden table, my eyes drifting toward the family photo on the shelf. Calmly, I replied, "Then just focus on pushing through the divorce case." When I looked up, I caught Derek's deep, dark eyes, steady and quietly intense, making something inside me stir. The truth is, Derek and I had known each other for a long time, ever since I was a university student, and he was a promising young legal advisor for my father's corporation. Our past encounters had been brief, polite nods and greetings, but his calm gaze always gave me a sense of peace. When I decided to divorce, I reached out to him, and he agreed to help without hesitation. He always reminded me, "Hannah, you deserve a better life." After the divorce, Derek confessed his feelings to me, his voice gentle but sincere under the golden sunset. "Hannah, I want to be with you, not as your lawyer, but as a man." But I turned him down. Not because he wasn't good enough, but because my heart, after 7 years of deep love and heartbreak, was too afraid. "Derek, thank you, but I need time," I told him. And he nodded, never pressuring me, quietly standing by with calm grace and thoughtful silence. The divorce battle dragged on for months. Tense meetings with attorneys, cold asset figures on paper, and Tyler's eyes across the negotiation table. But finally, it came to an end. 3 years later, in the wedding hall, I personally designed. Tyler Quinn appeared like a ghost from a distant past, an uninvited guest standing silently in the corner, dressed in a dark suit, his eyes vacant as he looked at me, finally speaking in a hoarse voice, like wind brushing through dried leaves. "You look beautiful in a wedding dress." I simply nodded politely, offering a gentle smile, greeting him as I would any other guest. No longer feeling hate, no bitterness, just a quiet peace blooming from deep within. Just then, I heard someone call my name, a warm voice cutting through the stillness. A refined, graceful man walked quickly toward me, his smile radiant like sunrise chasing away the morning mist. My husband, Derek, the man who waited patiently, the one I now want to hold hands with for the rest of my life, through both the calm and the passing storms. I placed my hand into his large, warm palm, our fingers intertwining naturally, and together, we walked down the aisle. 3 years ago, I thought freedom meant cutting all ties, meant running from the darkness. But now, here in this hall, freedom is holding his hand and still feeling the rhythm of my own breath. It's being able to look at Tyler with a soft smile, no resentment, just a quiet goodbye to a closed chapter. And when the church bells rang, echoing like whispers of time, I realized that healing isn't about erasing the past. It's about letting it rest quietly, like fallen leaves returning to the earth, nourishing the roots of something new and alive. Freedom isn't about flying away from a cage. but opening its door and choosing to stay under your own sky. That's what I whisper to myself every morning. And today, on this special day, it becomes my blessing for anyone still healing. Let go so you can hold on, ache so you can rest, and love yourself before you love the world. If Hannah's journey toward healing and freedom brought you peace, tap like now. Share your favorite moment in the comments below. Don't miss more healing stories. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell